Hi, I'm Joel Reedy, an attorney at Cornerstone Law Firm. At Cornerstone Law Firm, we help landlord and tenant clients all throughout Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland who have difficult questions of law that they want us to tackle. One question we've been getting a lot in the last couple days as the coronavirus crisis has ramped up is what happens if tenants can't pay their rent during this crisis? They get laid off, they lose their job. And also from landlords, what happens if a bunch of my tenants, especially in these large complexes, what if they all stop paying? Can I evict them? Should I evict them? With a state of emergency being declared in all three of these states, this is a common question that we're getting. So let me give you a couple of things that should guide your decision making. And let me make clear right up front, this video isn't meant to be legal advice. If you have specific questions, call our office. We'll be happy to talk to you. But in short, a few things to think about. First, leases often have controlling language about this. So what I mean by that is leases will often tell you what happens in the event of medical necessity or an emergency where someone is unable to get out of their home, get out of their home to come pay rent. If they're medically incapacitated and unable to get down to the office, what happens? Those are the types of questions leases often tackle. Unfortunately, many leases that are just downloaded off the internet or that somebody just drafted on their own do not contain language about this. So what do you do if your lease doesn't cover this situation? The short answer is in that situation, you really will have to fall back on general provisions of law. And this is where it's state specific. So for example, in Pennsylvania, the truth is if a tenant stops paying rent, even if it's because they lost their job because of coronavirus, you really can evict them in most cases. You can begin that process. Now, that process takes months, and under Pennsylvania's pay and stay provision, it's possible that they could pay late in the process and be allowed to stay. But in New Jersey, this is a more complicated question because New Jersey has what's called the Anti-Eviction Act. The Anti-Eviction Act says that you can't evict except under certain circumstances. And during a state of emergency, I think it may be very difficult for many landlords to actually evict their tenants, even for failure to pay. So Maryland kind of falls in between those two. It's a little bit looser like Pennsylvania, but it doesn't have the Anti-Eviction Act. But it does have rules that say that landlords have to be very careful about how they evict and when. These are fact-specific questions. I think it's very important for landlords to keep in mind that this is not a hot housing market right now, which means if you're having to evict a lot of tenants, it may be a long time before you're able to replace them. So even tenants who aren't paying, if they're going to be able to get their job back and pay some of this back down the line, it may be worth it to wait and see how this works out. These are some general things to think about, and I hope it helps you as you make decisions, and hopefully we're all going to get through this soon. But in the meantime, those are important things to think about.